What's up, everybody? Animation from Caitlin here, and today I'm going to be going over some of the Easter eggs and things I hid in the Sword and Blade comics. Specifically, the last one. Now, let's get into it. Alright, starting off with some of the more obvious ones. In the first comic, you can briefly see Wolfrath amongst Nightmare's army as an allude to how they meet Meta Knight. The monster Sword saves Blade from is heavily based off of Ridley. In fact, I got the entire idea from beating up Ridley with Meta Knight while playing Smash Bros. Ultimate with my brother. While the town is burning, you can see a Kirby-like figure running in the background. In part 2, Blade says he's from the planet Gardenia. I named the planet after a flower because of my headcanon that it was tropical and had a lush environment. When Sword and Blade are walking through the burnt town, Sword looks down at a blacksmith sign and tells his father he's home. This is a reference to a deleted scene I had where Sword and his dad lived in the blacksmith shop and they were talking about something important when the town was under attack. I still kind of consider this scene canon, even though it was deleted. I accidentally forgot to shade the boys in this scene, and honestly I have no clue how. After defeating the monster, Blade is the first one to point out how cold it is, because like I said earlier, his planet was tropical, meaning he's not used to cold weather. At the end of the second one, you see a crate that's labeled food, and them saying nothing can stop us now. I did this because part 2 was supposed to be the last one, and that was supposed to foreshadow why they became bandits. While I was doing part 3, the devil possessed me, and I thought it would make the comic look more comic-y if I made everything in Comic Sans. I regret my decision. The monster that was chasing them in the beginning of part 3 was heavily based off of the Pokemon Dracozolt's top half. While the two are arguing in a cave, Sword mentions that Blade has 15 siblings. Again, an allude to a deleted scene where it shows Blade's family life, and he has 15 older siblings that are constantly picking on him. While they're in the woods, a Scarfy jumps out of the bush. The monsters in the woods are almost directly taken out of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. I kinda stole the Timberwolves. But hey, that was what I was imagining chasing them, so I just rolled with it. Ruff was supposed to be a boy until I read through the comic and accidentally gave her a feminine voice, so she's a girl now. The horns and crest on Tuff are slightly based off of Spyro. Dave is almost an exact copy of Zaz from Sonic Lost World. I also imagine them to have the same voice. Sword and Blade mention that their ages are 114 and 113. That's the equivalent to a 13 and 14-year-old in this world. That's just my headcanon, please don't come at me. And now for the finale. This has quite a few. I was trying to make it all cool and Easter eggy and, all that jazz, because it's the finale, so, yay. Sword says, I didn't think we'd make it this far. That's an allude to me saying, I can't believe I just made an entire comic series. Especially since it's based off of characters that really no one cares about. Also, yes, in headcanon, this is an exact prequel to Right Back At Ya. In that same sentence, he also mentions that he didn't know how long they'd live for, which is why he's just going along with Blade, because any day could be their last and he just wants to make the little dude happy. Since they've been living in a cave, Sword gets uber excited at the sight of a mattress, which is kind of sad when you think about it. In 2 panels back to back, I apparently forgot to color in the food. How? In Ruff's flashback, it shows the monster fighting her brother, which is in fact Dave's monster form, and if anyone had an eagle eye, they'd notice that Dave and the monster both share that hanging out blue tongue. So maybe if any of you were paying attention, that made you a little suspicious. Tuff specifically says that there are shapeshifters in the area. Gee, I wonder why he knows that. In this scene where Ruff is holding a sword, you can very clearly see that it belonged to a Star Warrior. This scene where Ruff and Sword are talking on a rock was completely 180'd from the original. Rather than making them flirt, I gave Sword an I'm sick of waiting speech. The reasoning for them not killing Sword and Blade and Ruff earlier was because they're demons, and they like to watch people suffer before they kill them. It's like a cat playing with a slowly dying bird. In the final fight, Blade takes the sword and throws it for Sword to grab. This is a callback to when they were fighting the rat monster and Sword threw his for Blade to grab. The way Blade kills Dave is an exact replica of how Sword killed the monster in the first. And if you're really good at picking out silhouettes, you'll notice that Dave's monster form, the head at least, has a very close resemblance to that of the Ridley monsters. At the end, right when Tuff is about to die, he says that you might not see it, but I did just what I was here for. That being causing the Star Warriors more trouble. Knowing that he just sent Sword down a darker path by breaking him psychologically, he thinks that it's right to believe that Sword is going to start causing people, and by the extent, the GSA, a whole lot of trouble. Which eventually turns out to be true. By the end of the fight, Sword and Blade's injuries are very reminiscent of those they had in the first episode. While Sword is trying to get Blade up, he tells him that the monsters are gone and to please get up. But after silence of a few seconds, he asks, "You're dead, aren't you?" "I'm sorry, bud. I tried so hard to..." Only to realize that Blade, in fact, is not dead. This is a direct replica of what he says to Blade in the first episode, where he tries to get him up while the village is burning. At the end, where they can be seen looking at two mountains, those are actually directly from Right Back At Ya and the flashback. Those are, in fact, the mountains where they meet Meta Knight. And finally, in headcanon, they were bandits and lived on that said mountain for 85 years before they ran into Meta Knight, which sounds like a really long time, and it is, but I mean, Meta Knight's like 50,000, so, screw time in this world. And that's pretty much just going to wrap things up for today. Did any of you notice these details, or was this the first time hearing them? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, stay creative. Bye.
And again, sorry, Ray.